you have noticed by now, when we change numbers on an ordinance, then Bud and his staff slashes through the old one, underlines the new one, and that's the new numbers. Now, here's the thing with the water rates. This ordinance establishes rates. There's also an ordinance that says, cost of living or CPI increases, just like we pay, comes each year at the water company automatically. So y'all don't have, it's a good thing really, you don't have to vote on water increases because there's an ordinance that was voted on and passed at the city that says each year these cost of living increases, although they're little minute increases, will be added automatically. That's better than getting way behind and then having to raise 10% or 20%. Those CPI raises are usually 2%, 3%. Sometimes I've seen 1.2%. Now since COVID, they've been a little bit more. So what I need to explain to you here is this ordinance had not been changed or updated since, Kathy, look today, did you?
2012.
Since 2012, these numbers have not been changed. So if you look on page 1, residential in city, 0 to 1,000, the minimum bill used to be $14.30 back in 2012. $20.88 is what it is right now. So we're not raising it tonight. All we're doing is changing this ordinance to match what it truly is tonight.
That automatic CPI.
That automatic through the years from 2012 till 2022 has changed it that much.
So we're currently being charged
$20.88.
Okay, so we're not actually raising.
You're not raising.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Now, the
Okay.
reason we're updating this ordinance,
Glad
but
for
the
the
reason we
explanation.
needed to update this ordinance is some things are raising. The utility board has looked, so the rates are not involved. The only thing we're doing with the rates is bringing the ordinance up to what they are today. Now, there's some things that have changed. You all voted a while back to make an increase to Big Sandy Water District for wholesale water to be $3.90. That's still not approved with the PSC. So Bud added on here as a pending approval. So if it is approved by Public Service Commission after some legal wrangling, then that will be in here. The other thing that the utility board voted to change, which is the reason we're needing to do this, is water tap fees and sewer tap fees. If you see, we was charging $5.25 and $6.25 for water taps, while all our neighbors are charging $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. We had the distribution supervisor do some calculations as to what he thought a water tap cost us, from the materials, the supplies, the labor, the manpower, the excavators, the equipment, and all that, and we've still been charging. We actually weren't charging $5.25. We were charging because again this hadn't been updated. We was charging $800. Last year, check that we spent on those pumps. So if you have a grinder pump at your house, and honestly, part of the problem is they end up full of wipes, adult wipes and baby wipes, which burns the pump up, and then we're $1,200, $1,500. So what the board, they've looked at this over the last year. There has been many hours of discussions about it, and what the board would like to do, and that's why we brought it to you all, the board would like to add a monthly service charge of $12.50 to people who have those grinders, and we would continue to replace the pump if they pay this $12.50.
Why don't they pay to replace the pump?
Well, I don't know if we have, Bud might know better than me, because it was before me. I don't know if there's an agreement between the landowners, and I just know the city got a grant. People out in those outlying areas needed sanitary sewer back. So they put in this system of grinders at each house, okay? And the grinders were under warranty for 5 years. And the city paid 100% to put them in. landowner didn't pay for them the first time. Now, they probably paid a tap fee, they may have paid a tap fee. And then in the deal was, this is city sewer, and we'll maintain it. But what's happened is, as years has went on, the pumps are getting older and older and older, and the price of the pumps has went through the roof. They're triple what they was 10 years ago. And so now the board felt like that one way to try to offset the cost that it's hitting us with is if we have this $12.50 surcharge for grinder pumps. And one of the board members even recommended, now this ordinance doesn't spell it out that way, but that if somebody don't wanna pay this $12.50, then they can pay for the pump when it goes back. But I think everybody would want to.
What, do you keep a record of that if they don't pay it?
Yeah, I personally would rather just put it on everybody. I think trying to keep up with who does and who don't, and then,
Yep.
if their pump goes out and they don't have the money to get one, then where are you gonna be?
I think you could go out there to have to clean one out, it's full of those whites, they'll be fine. Cause then the problem goes to the sewer plant.
So,
So is there a
So the two-
contract that
so-
we have to take care of it, or, I mean, how much is a pump?
I think
What are
the
we looking
pumps
at,
now,
at a pump? If they're only paying $12.50.
well, it
I'm sure
costs
you're not gonna-
$3,500
To
to
put one
purchase the pump, the tub, and all the stuff to put one in. The pump is about half that thing, about 6 feet. They have a 5-year warranty. But see, all these that's 12 years old,
$12.50, you're still gonna be told.
well, I don't think you will. I think the board's idea was this $12.50 would go in a fund.
Yep.
Like
It would have its own separate bank account.
separate fund, it would stay separate. And then when we need 3 pumps, we buy it out of the pump.
So how many customers approximately, just ballpark?
200, was it 300?
I think it was closer to 300.
From 8 in the morning to 4 in the evening. They're never there on the weekends. So the city retained the right, even through the FICO lease, to rent it to citizens of nights and weekends. Then the issue comes, well, if we rent it, we have to clean it. On a daily basis, when they have a senior program, they clean it. But if we rent it that night, we have to get it cleaned up before they come in at 8 in the morning. So, there's been 2 or 3 different ways of doing it. When I first came, there was somebody that worked for them, cleaning for the city too. I didn't like that arrangement. I changed it. Then I ended up having a gentleman who, he just took care of it. He looked at the calendar when we rented. He would go let them in. He would clean it afterwards. He would lock it. And we was paying him a small set fee to go lock it and unlock it, and a price per hour to clean, depending on how long it took him to clean. Worked out great. He got another job. COVID hit. We quit renting it for 1.5 years. We started renting it again, and now you can't find anybody that will clean for anywhere close to that price. So here's the deal. We've been renting it for
$100 an hour, and then $100 damage deposit, and then if you go up to,
$100 for 4 hours,
what did I say?
an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm used to the pool, I'm sorry, I've said it so much to the pool. $100 for 4 hours, and then $100 damage deposit, and it goes up to $150, and then each step, however many hours you end up.
Like 8 hours is 150.
And then it goes up from each step, you
Oh,
feel like
okay.
4 hours.
So my problem is, in trying to find somebody, the city has never liked the idea of giving people a key. So, that leaves you with somebody has to unlock it, somebody has to lock it back. So it's 2 trips.
Yep.
Now during this interim, me and the police officers have been doing it, cause we didn't have nobody to do it. We even give the police officers a key, and they go lock it and unlock it for me or me. that doesn't, you know, it has worked, but it's not the best scenario, and we haven't had anybody clean. So I finally found somebody, a mother and daughter team who has do some other cleaning churches and things that are willing to do it, but they really want to unlock it, to clean it, and to lock it back and have it ready for the next one. They want $40 a time, and that's 2 trips and clean. Wasn't that what I told them?
Yeah.
Yeah, $40 a time.
$40 a time? Oh, okay.
Each time it's rented.
Yeah.
That means they'd have to come and unlock it,
Mm-hmm.
then go somewhere back home or wherever, come back in
Clean
4
it.
hours or 8 hours, clean it and lock it back
Are
up.
the girls local or?
Yeah,
They live up around Me's Branch, you know, it's not real far, but about,
what's her name, Sandy?
Shannon.
Shannon, she worked at the nursing home for years, still
Shannon.
does. And I
Shannon.
think she's
Shannon.
retired. Her and her
Sandy's
daughter,
Kirk.
they clean,
they call her Sandy, but her name's Chandra or Shanda. I don't even think it's got the R in it, but
It's Chanda.
anyway, they clean some of the churches and things, and when I just put the word out that I was needing somebody, they contacted me and was interested, and the thing I really like about the mother and daughter thing is, you know, a lot of younger people, they'll say, oh yeah, I want that, I'll do it. And then it's always renting on Friday and Saturday night. Well, they'll wanna go to the mall and be gone, and then somebody will rent it, and then we're back to square one. And down the feet's down, and, with all the construction that's went on up there with the soccer field and the fairgrounds and the dozer work and all that, there's been, it's in the way of them and they're in the way of us, just to put it plain. The water line's been in their way, the places they want to fill and have filled, where the water line should be maybe 5 feet deep, it's ended up 20, 25 feet deep. So if we have a leak, we can't fix it. Other places, they need the dirt moved off and they've got it down to maybe 2 feet. So, long and short of it is, the discussion with the county was something's gonna have to be done in case we have a leak and it's that deep in the ground, we can't fix it. There's some cleaner water money through the federal government that trickled down to the county, and, the county, agreed to us that we'll get the line moved and they'll provide the funding through that cleaner water money. So it's 100% free to us, and 100% free to the county, as far as I know. So after we got in the middle of the project, we had our engineers look at it and start doing the design. And typically, if you have a professional relationship with professional services like engineers and insurance, you do not have to bid it each year, regardless of what the amount of money is. But since this was specifically from the federal government of ARPA money through cleaner water grants, they've now backed up and asked that you get procurement, which means basically you advertise for your engineer and select an engineer based upon their qualifications. Engineers will never be selected based upon price. So it's not like a bid. So engineers and insurance never has to be chosen on price. It's supposed to be chosen on qualifications and the best services for the city. So, even though our engineers has already mostly designed the project, we had to back up and advertise in the newspaper for qualifications of engineers that might be interested. We end up with 2 responses. One was Kentucky Engineers, which has been doing our work for the city for 20 years, and another was New River Engineers from Charleston, West Virginia. The way that's basically done usually is I take myself and some employees that would be knowledgeable of this. We sit down with a score sheet and have a meeting, and Tammy, our lady at the water office administrator, she took minutes, well, I did a score sheet, and each person on the committee scores these people. We scored them, and Kentucky Engineers come out with 80-something, and they come up with 50-something. Basically, the big difference is, there's a big question worth 30 points of how familiar are they with your water system? Well, these aren't at all, and these have done it for 20 years. So, we awarded, Kentucky Engineers with the highest score. The utility board looked it over, agreed with the assessment from the employees. They approved it as Kentucky Engineers. Since it will be a contract, we asked the city council to agree as well. PDA, if you don't agree with the value that they place on your property, there is a process, an appeals process, where you can take your property and appeal the decision of the value of your property, and that takes it kind of out of the PBA's hands and puts it before a board of assessment of appeals. And the city has one position on that board. Debbie Cordell has served in that position for the city for the last several years. She would like to step down for a while, and also there's in the KRS, you're supposed to switch every so many years anyway. So she would like to be off of it for a while, and it's time for, getting close time for a new one anyway. I talked to, a couple people that was knowledgeable in it. Teresa didn't wanna do it. She was the first one to come to my mind, because she worked in the PBA office for so many years. She didn't really wanna do it. Kim Burchett at City Bank has been on it in the past and then came off. She's willing to do it again. So I would like to appoint Kim Burchett to that